So thanks again for joining us for our series for neck, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. In our second video, we're going to be looking at some stretching and mobility exercises to help open up these joints and to increase your range of motion. So any stretching should be done to the point of a mild ache only. You should feel some small tension in the muscle, whatever muscles or areas that you're stretching. Anything that is sharp pain, a zinger, very sudden onset of pain, that means you've gone too far. You need to back down and be very careful about movement in those kinds of circumstances. Stretching is also appropriate for a cool down portion from your exercise, particularly if you're doing resistance training or any kind of weightlifting. In those circumstances, you don't want to stretch at the beginning, you want to do it afterward. For running or other cardio type of activity, it can be debatable, so I'm not going to get into that. Concerning a stretch, any stretch that you hold should be held for 5 to 7 seconds, then release, and then repeat 2 or 3 times so that you allow the muscle a chance to get used to the warm-up, then stretch, and then to actually get a full expansion of the entire muscle body. Our first stretch for the neck is a simple neck rotation. Cole is going to demonstrate. She's going to move her head to the left, look as far as she can, get the chin as far as she can over the shoulder, and then look behind her for a couple seconds and then come back forward, and then again to the other side. As I mentioned previously, all stretches should be done a couple times before moving on to the next one. So she's going to come back. We are going to only demonstrate them once, however. So the next one is neck circle. So she's again going to start with the rotation that she did before, but then she's going to drop her chin down and down to the chest, and then back around to the other side, and then go back the way she came. And back forward. The next two are similar, and these take on some East Asian medical names. This one is called the turtle neck stretch, and its companion, the crane neck stretch. Both of these are tracing a square in front of you. So the turtle neck stretch, she's going to go from where she is, moving the chin out as far forward as it can, and then from that position drop down, and then back with the chin to the chest, and then back straight up to the top. The crane neck is the other way, so from where she is, chin to the chest, chin pushed forward as far as possible, then up and back. Okay, both of these are meant to help loosen up flexion and extension of the neck. So our next one is the dragon neck. The dragon neck is a coiling, twisting movement in the air. So it starts out the same as a neck rotation. She's going to move chin to one side, and then she's going to take the top corner of her head and twist it down and around to come up to the other side. And then when she gets to that, when she gets there, she's going to move the neck around as though you're tracing a figure 8. To end the stretch, rather than just stopping, typically you make the circles smaller so that you are stretching and opening up areas higher up in the neck until you are up at the very top of the base of the skull. For shoulder stretches, the first one we're going to do is called a wall reset. This helps to set the neck and shoulder girdle appropriately in line with the rest of the body. To do this, what you do is you're going to stand with your back against the wall, with the heels, the lower back, and the upper back as much as you can against the wall, with the arms raised perpendicular as though you're mimicking a goalpost. Once you're in this position, you're going to walk forward with the heels, keeping the upper spine and head against the wall as well as the arms. Ideally, the entire upper mid-back between the shoulder blades should also maintain contact, if possible. You walk out as far as you can, hold for a few seconds, and then slowly walk back toward the wall, and then come down and walk forward. Again, that helps to reset the shoulder girdle in line with the rest of the body. Our next stretch is a shoulder raise and lower. To do this, you're going to bring your arms raised up over your head, angled at the sides as you see, and then the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the scapula are going to raise as if you're shrugging your shoulders as high as you can, like you're pushing the ceiling up, and then bringing them back down as low as you can, dragging them down as low as you can. As you raise and lower, the shoulder blades will naturally come together and then move apart. That is a fine motion to do. After that, we have a stretch that is called Push Heaven and Earth. What this is, one arm will be raising in a similar manner and the other arm will be lowered down, and you're going to push in opposite directions, allowing the shoulder blades to rotate and move apart from each other. So this is not just for the arms, but actually to try and get the shoulder blades themselves to move. You're going to do this exercise a few times with each arm raised to the ceiling, and then relax. Our next exercise is called the Archer. To do this, you're going to form a loose fist in the same plane of the body, raised up below, just below shoulder level, and then you're going to reach across with the other arm, allowing the scapula, the shoulder blades, to stretch open, and then you retract your forward arm, allowing the gaze to follow the arm all the way back, and the shoulder blades will close. Then you relax and allow the arm to open again and close again. You repeat this a few times and then switch arms to the other side and do the same stretch. Our next stretch is a simple tricep stretch. This is very easy. To do this, you take one arm, reach around and pat yourself on the back, because you're doing such a good job following along. And then with the other arm, you have one of two options. You can either reach above to grab the shoulder and push behind, or if you're very flexible, you can reach around behind and clasp both hands together and pull this way. Be sure to do this stretch a couple times, again with each arm raised above the head, and then relax. Our last stretch that we're going to cover for the shoulder is a pectoralis stretch, again for the muscles on the front of the shoulder. To do this, you're going to need a wall where you can put one hand against the wall or in a door frame if you have an open door, and then allow the body to rotate open so that the front of the shoulder gets a nice stretch out into the arm itself, and then relax. So stretches for the wrist we're going to run through real quick. For the wrist, we have a simple wrist extension stretch here. So you bring your wrist out, keeping the arm elbow locked, up as far as you can, and then reach around, pull with the fingers, pull back to open up that carpal tunnel sheath again. I find that this stretch also can change depending on the position of the wrist, so sometimes it's helpful to bring the wrist down and stretch it open this way as well. Again, you hold for a few seconds and then relax. You can also stretch down this way if you want to work the other side. After that, we have a finger span stretch. So this, we spend all of our days gripping with the wrist, gripping with the fingers this way. We don't spend a lot of time working opening of the palm. To do that, you span the fingers as far as you can, and then take the other hand and press the base knuckle, base joint of the thumb, and also the pinky on the other side, and spread to get a little extra extension back this way. Combined with that is an exercise that you can do if you have a little bit of a teaching aid or a stretching aid. These are called Baoding balls, and they're two spheres of various size, often with chimes in them, and they are spun around the hand like so in either direction, but it's not done with the small fingers, using the fingers, but instead with the opening and closing of the muscles in the palm. And what this does is this allows those muscles to relax so that fresh blood and circulation can get out into the small joints in the fingers. This is excellent if you're suffering from repetitive strain injury or other kinds of achy pain or even arthritic pain in the fingers and wrists. So you might be thinking in that last stretch that where do I get this specialty item? Usually you can find them in novelty stores that sell like Chinese objects and trinkets and things, but really that's not as important as the fact that they're round and can move. So any comparably sized sphere will work. If you have 2 golf balls, that can be sufficient. Sometimes larger items, larger balls will work as well, depending on the span of your hands. So it's not important that they come with chimes or that it's a specialty item like that, but simply that they're spheres and can rotate around in the palm. Similarly, you might be thinking that with all the stretches we've covered today, if you're going to do all of those stretches or stretch any other area of the body, that it's going to take you a considerable amount of time. Well, if you do go through the entire body, it can take you up to perhaps an hour, but for realistic purposes, it's important primarily to stretch the major joints and only areas that are actively giving you problems, where you need to increase mobility and flexibility in the body. So a good stretching routine in the morning really should take you no more than 5 to maybe 15 minutes at the most. If you do stretches multiple times, if you hold for 5 to 10 seconds and then move regularly from one stretch to the next. So we want to thank you for watching this second video that involves stretching. We hope you join us for our third, where we're going to talk about self-massage and other acupressure points to help with more chronic and acute cases.